Hello, hello. I'm Strider, your host here at Author in the Headlights, and I want to thank you for joining us. And today we have Claribel A. Ortega. Good morning.
Morning. How are you?
I'm just fine. And we get to have you on the show today and going over your genre. Is it middle grade or is it young adult?
It is middle grade. Yeah, it's middle grade fantasy. So usually from 8 to 12-year-olds is the reading range, but I have a few younger readers and some older readers who've been reading me since they were in middle school and now they're in high school. And of course, there's always adult readers in the mix there too.
Always,
Yeah.
always. I happen to write young adult, and there are probably by far more adults reading it than young adults.
These days, especially. Yes.
It's true. Well, you think when Harry Potter, that's a young adult, and yet who watched it?
Yeah, yeah.
Who read the books? Yeah, true. So you've got a new book coming out. Is that true?
It just came out last week. It's called Scepter of Memories, and it's the fourth book in the Witchling series.
The Witchlings, yes. And you've got, like you said, four of them. Witchlings is the name of the first book itself, correct?
Yeah, it's the name of the first book, and then it's the name of the series overall.
And the second is the Golden Frog Games.
Yes, the Golden Frog Games, House of Elephants, and now Scepter of Memories.
That's middle grade. And when did you choose to write middle grade books?
So for me, the stories sort of come to me, the voice of the story, the idea behind the story, and they just always happen to be in that children's literature category. They're the kinds of stories that I like to tell, and I think that the media that had the most impact on me growing up were the things that I watched and read when I was around that age group. So I've always sort of my storytelling voice kind of reverts to that like middle grade or young adult audience always.
You have beautiful pictures on your covers. I mean,
Oh,
that's the
thank
cover,
you.
it's a saying, right? The cover sells the book. Well, no wonder you
Absolutely.
get such good sales because you have wonderful artwork.
Yeah, Lissy Marlin is the illustrator behind the Witchling series. She's an incredible, incredible illustrator, and I'm very lucky that I get to work with her. And she's been with us through the whole series.
Yes, that's good. They're beautiful. Had
Yeah.
they been there when I was a kid, I would have read them because the picture draws me to the story.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I love the illustrations as well, and I love that the witchlings progressively get a little bit older with each
Hmm.
cover as well. You see them growing up, which reflects what's happening in the story itself, and that's all I can ask for.
It is important that lets
Hmm.
a child grow with the books and the
Hmm.
storylines.
Hmm.
So, what brought you to the topics you use in your stories? How does that grow?
Sure. So the Witchling series, for those people who aren't familiar, is about a group of misfit witches named Seven, Valley, and Thorn, who, on the night of the Black Moon ceremony, where every witchling is sorted into their own coven house, are sorted as spares. So they are the leftover witches, the marginalized witches. I am a child of the diaspora. My parents are from Dominican Republic. And growing up, Spanish was my first language. I grew up culturally Dominican, but in New York City. So I always felt sort of in between worlds, not Dominican enough, not quite American enough. I always felt like I didn't quite fit in anywhere. And I wanted to write a story about kids who are the unchosen ones, kids who are pushed to the sidelines, but they have to save the world anyway. And I love stories of like underdogs. I love like the ragtag group of like quote unquote loser kids who end up being the heroes, like the Goonies and Hocus Pocus, stuff like that really has always appealed to me. And I think it's such a powerful message because so many times as children, we do feel left out in one way or another, be that socially in our own home or even just privately in our own internal world. We feel like we don't quite fit in. There's something off about us. And so I wanted to write a book that made kids that felt like I did as a kid feel like they had a place to belong and feel less alone. That is my kind of ultimate goal and message with the Witchlings: friendship and community, and that soft place to land.
That's awesome. That really is that you have the reasoning behind your stories, the value that those kids can pick up from the stories.
Yeah.
Now, you're not just an author, just an author. You're a former reporter, a New York Times bestseller, of course, and you have your own podcast, Bad Author Book Club.
Yes, so a friend of mine who is also an author, Ryan LaSala, we were bored during the pandemic, as so many people were, and I came across a video of this book called Model Land by the famous Tyra Banks. And as someone who grew up watching America's Next Top Model, and this book was sort of pitched as the fantasy version of that reality TV show, and that is very accurate. I was like, I want to read this. It sounds so terrible, but I like really love books that are quote unquote bad. I love movies that are bad as well. I feel like we can learn a lot from them and they're really entertaining. And so I asked Ryan to read it with me and we just recorded our reactions to it. And it's been really fun. We basically tried to find sort of like the most wacky book that's a fiction by a celebrity that we can find and see what they did with it, see what we would have done differently, what they did that works, and sort of the story and the lore behind the book and the media frenzy behind it as well.
Hey, I happen to know Ryan. He didn't tell me you did this kind of thing. Ryan thought he's been on the show um,
Recently, right? Because
recently.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
we our books released on the same day actually. So we went on a joint bookseller tour last month. We're really good friends, so our publisher sent us together, and it was great.
New Yorkers. What can I say? Yeah, yeah, that was a fun show. Really was. And for those of you out there that didn't see it, check on it. Ryan Lasala, and hey, it was a good show too. I really enjoy contacting other authors and learning their experiences. An author in the headlights is for readers and writers. Readers to find your next great read, and writers to pick up those little tidbits of things that can make your stuff spark and grow that much better. So we get both ends of the spectrum there.
That's wonderful. I love that premise.
Now, you haven't just written The Witchlings. You've got let me see, Ghost Squad. I also heard that is being made into a feature film. How is that
So
coming
the
out?
the option for it was bought, which doesn't always mean it's going to be made. I'm not sure
That's
where it
true.
is in the process, but they it was optioned for film, yes. And that was
Okay.
my debut, which came out in April of 2020.
Uh,
Possibly one of the worst times to debut ever,
well,
but it
that is
worked
true
out for
too.
me.
Come to think of it, yeah, oh gosh, yes, that had changed so much of life. Now
Yeah.
you've also got The Girl and the Robot. How did that come about?
Yeah, so The Girl and the Robot was written with Oz Rodriguez, who is an Emmy-winning director of Saturday Night Live. He had a script for like a movie called The Girl and the Robot, so he brought me on to help him turn it into a novel, and we worked together over the course of about 2 years, usually over Zoom calls. We had a lot of brainstorming sessions. He was really fun to work with, and it got bought up by Disney, and it was a really fun process, and it was really cool. It was my first time co-authoring a book on, aside from the graphic novel Frizzy, which was a bit different because it was me and an illustrator. This is the first time I had written like prose with another author, so that it was quite fun.
Okay. And like I said, Frizzy, which is a separate book, and that is a graphic novel, which is different kind of than your other books.
Yes. Yes. So Frizzy is my first graphic novel, but not my last. And it is about a young girl who is wanting to embrace her naturally curly hair. She's tired of going to the salon every weekend to straighten her hair, which is something very common in Dominican culture. And so she goes on a journey to learn to embrace her natural curls and push back against the family members who don't think that it's the right thing to do.
And it hasn't taken you very long to get there, honestly, compared to like my experience.
Yeah, I mean, my first book, I started writing it in 2013. And so it took me from 2013 to 2020 to be published initially. But in terms of how long the trajectory of my career has taken since I've been published, I would say I'm very
It took off
fortunate.
to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if you don't mind sharing, that process of getting first published, that is a nightmare of so many authors. How did you go about it and what finally worked?
Sure. So I wrote my first, like I said, I started writing my first book in around 2013. I started querying it, so sending it out to literary agents around the end of 2015, beginning of 2016. I got an agent in the spring of 2016, but then that book went on submission for a year and did not sell. Me and that agent parted ways, just wasn't a good match. And then I participated in this event called DB Pit, which was on Twitter at the time. It's coming back actually this year, but it'll be on Blue Sky. And it is an event for marginalized authors to pitch their books and for literary agents to express interest in those books. And then you can query, like send them your manuscript, but it kind of like pushes it to the top of the pile, right? Because
Hmm. The
they've
slush
expressed
pile.
interest. Yeah. So I found my current agent, Susie Townsend, through that event. And then over the course of that year in 2017, I wrote Ghost Squad and sold it after trying to sell a book, the same book twice on submission, and it didn't sell both times over the course of 2 years. And then Ghost Squad just sold right away. It's kind of like a shortened version of the journey, but it gives you an idea of sort of like how it
Yeah.
went.
No, that's awesome. That really is awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Now, what is next?
No, it's already in the works. So I finished the first draft of Witchlings 5, which should come out next year. And that is the last book of this particular arc. And then I have another series on the horizon that I can't talk about quite yet, but that I should be announcing before the end of the year.
Wow.
It's a
Okay.
lot.
You are in production there. You
Yeah.
got it stacked. Well, congratulations. You've
Thank you.
done it. You're there. Your book, Scepter of Memories, is coming. It just came out like last week. There it is. I've got my copy, but it's not sitting here in my lap. I'm
It's okay.
sorry.
I got it.
And you're on a roll.
Thank you.
And that
Yeah,
is good. And when your next book comes out, get a hold of me and we'll have you back on. We'd love to see you expand and go with it.
will do. Thank you. Thank you so much. And best of luck with all of your writing too and all of your
That's
books.
right. My book three of The Adventures of Ronan Stone, Recalled, will be out really, really shortly. We're waiting for those ARC copies data
All
to get back
right.
in.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And Luna book two is still 4.9 stars on Amazon. So
Hey, that is
we're
not easy.
pushing. That
On
is not
Amazon,
easy.
that's not easy.
It's not easy. So I want to thank you for joining us today. And like I said, when your next book comes out, let me know. And until then, I want to say thanks to everyone out there watching us. And until next time.